Howdy. Today we want to look at our second devotion on fortress and solitude. Now I want to read a little bit from Exodus 3. Now in this passage, Moses is seeing God in the burning bush and he's approaching him. And it says, "The angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God." When we're thinking about quiet places, safe places to go to be in the presence of God, we oftentimes neglect the fact that the place that we go is going to be very important for this. Now, that does not mean that we always have to be in church. That does not mean that we always have to have the same place that's set aside for prayer and quiet time all the time. It's not that that's a bad thing, but I don't want you to think that that necessarily makes it like a rule, that it has to be the same space over and over again. But the point is it a place that you can go and be able to separate yourself from your normal everyday life? The thing is that oftentimes we think of certain places as being safe spaces for ourselves. We think that our home is going to be a safe space, and mostly it is, except for the fact that oftentimes that's where our family can distract us the most. We've been discovering that for many of us that are working from home, being at home is actually the worst place to work sometimes because there are so many distractions and so many ways in which it pulls our mind and pulls us away. For some people, a safe space to get away, to be on your own, might be your car, it might be a coffee house, assuming we can get back to those. But also keep in mind that a safe space is also somewhere where you feel that you can be yourself. So you're not necessarily trying to put on a certain facade. You're not trying to impress people, or you're not trying to appear a certain way. A safe space is somewhere where you know that you can just be yourself and relax. Now, this might have to also then be somewhere where you can get away from other people, but it might also be a place where you're surrounded by other people. Well, the point is it a place where you can be able to focus and to relax? The thing is that for the mountainside experience that Moses had, we realize that it was something where he had to get away from his regular work, from his father-in-law, from all the other things that might distract him. But more specifically, it was somewhere where he knew that he could hear from God. You see, oftentimes we can end up feeling that, oh, well, my quiet space is, in front of my TV, or my quiet space, my safe space is over here where I'm going to be reading, or it's my bed. But the place where you're falling asleep is not your safe space. You see, in reality, it's got to be somewhere where you can be able to focus, to be able to get your mind cleared, and to be able to think, pray, and quiet down. So I want you to think to yourself, what are the places that you should be able to find a safe haven to be able to relax and be yourself? And are they necessarily providing you with what you need to step away, to be yourself, but also to be able to hear from God and to quiet down your spirit in those troubling times?